Hello and welcome everyone again to another video. So usually when I talk about Tesla, I talk about the positive stuff, but I'm also not trying to talk about the negative stuff, like on the last video that I made when I went to Germany. Then I actually ran into trouble, which I will talk about in a minute again as well. And Tesla solved it. It was all woohoo, yeah, Tesla solved it, but it solved it remotely, which is cool, and we do get updates, which is even more cool. But there's also a downside to getting those updates, and today I just wanted to talk about the version 9 that I have, which is 42.2, the bugs and quirks that are in there and that annoy me the most. Some of them are new, some of them have been there for a longer time, but let's look at the 10 most annoying things in my personal experience. So the first one I want to talk about is the phone app. This is a new one in version 9, and when you call somebody, sometimes it doesn't ring in the car, and then I see on the dash that the person actually answered, but I don't hear them. Apparently they hear me, but I don't hear them. So I have to hang up again, and then I recall or redial, and usually that fixes it. But it's annoying. And definitely when you're making a call to a customer, for example, it's not coming over very professional, unfortunately, but hopefully that will be fixed in the next update. The second one I want to talk about is the browser. The browser has always been kind of quirky from the start, but it has gotten a lot better in an update in early February, but now it's not functioning at all. So when I, for example, enter an address in the URL bar, I just hit enter, it doesn't do anything. If I hit the search button, it doesn't do anything. So the browser doesn't work at all anymore. That's definitely a new one in version 9, and I hope they will fix that with the subsequent update as well. Not that I use the browser that much, but sometimes I use it for additional traffic information, for example, or I look at the weather radar there. When I search for charge points, I usually use my phone apps to do that. I have multiple phone apps there. I do have a couple of them on the browser as well, just in case. But yeah, normally I don't use the browser that often, so I don't really miss it. But it's something that I noticed in this version. The third one is something that annoys me a lot. I do use a USB, a small USB, it's called a nano USB drive, I think. I use that to store my MP3 files for my library, and I often listen to that, and I use the audio app to search for that. But now if you search for, let's say, Within Temptation, I click on the W, and when I do that, then it doesn't go to the W, it goes to a completely different letter. Also, when you search within the folders, they used to be alphabetical with folders and files that are directly on the root as well. Now it displays all files alphabetically, and only then it displays the folders. So that's a bit annoying. If you want to search for something, you have a lot of music, you need to scroll a lot to get to eventually the music that you want. I know that up to some extent you can use the voice command to search as well, but usually that leads me to the Spotify account, for example, and sometimes I come in places where I don't have an internet connection with the car, like for example the areas where you cross a border in Europe. Usually it needs to switch carrier at that point, and then it takes a couple of minutes before it's switched. Or I've been to parts of Germany where there's no Wi-Fi or LTE connection at all. So yeah, that's the parts where I use the USB drive mostly. But also, yeah, because I know what music is on there and don't really have to search for it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work anymore when you search alphabetically. Numbers 4, 5 and 6 are kind of combined together. in the sense that they all have to do with the new display on the instrument cluster, where we can see a lot more happening now and a distinction between the different types of cars. The first one is that trucks are split when you're passing them on the highway. So you see a truck coming, and then you start passing it, and once you're next to it, apparently the front camera and the B-pillar camera, I suppose, both see the truck and they think it's two trucks, so then it gets split and you got two trucks, one behind the other, on your dashboard. And then sometimes the front truck drives forwards even. So yeah, that is something that I can understand from a camera perspective, that this is going to be difficult to resolve, but it is a bug nonetheless at the moment. The second part there is that sometimes, and it's definitely not always, but sometimes trucks in the second lane over are displayed like halfway through the lane, or even in the next lane over, instead of on the second lane where there is no display of cars or trucks or whatever at the moment. But yeah, right now, if there's a car and then behind that car there's a truck, sometimes that car image in the next lane is displayed as the truck in the second lane as well. So I think it's more like distinction of objects that is the problem here. Again, a third one which basically follows up on this one is that the object recognition, as you can see in this video, is definitely not yet flawless, and cars pop in and out of existence. Sometimes a car becomes a van becomes a truck becomes a car again, trucks are disappearing, trucks are reappearing. So yeah, it's definitely something that still needs work, but I do like the feature, and I think it's very good for additional blind spot detection, because it sees the car from a lot further back now, and you can see that on the on the display of the dash. You can see it there as well, and that helps with the blind spot detection as well. Number 7 is yeah, the one that I talked about in my last video when I went to the Aikido seminar, is that the auto lane change on a regular basis gets disabled, right? So at first I would assume it was some kind of condensation maybe on the camera, but it usually happens after I've already driven for a while and the cameras are clear, windows are clear, and then all of a sudden it gives me the message that auto lane change has been disabled due to a limited visibility of the surrounding of the car. In the meantime, I've reached out to Tesla a couple of times, gave them the exact timestamps for when this happened, the exact message with usually a screenshot of the dash as well, and they've called me back to say that I need to bring in my car. They've ordered some parts, so I guess my assumption was right, that when AP2 came out, the front cameras needed to be recalibrated, and in my case there has to be like this little piece that had to be fitted in between to angle the camera right. I'm afraid that this might be the case for me as well with the side cameras, but we'll see. When the parts arrive, they are going to call me to come in for that. I will see what actually happens, and I will keep you updated on the actual result. And since we're talking about AutoPilot, there's another quirk that's yeah, been bothering me, and I don't know why that is, but I consider this to be a bug as well. Maybe it's a feature, I don't know, but when I'm in, for example, the middle lane on the highway and I want to pass a car, right, the auto lane change is still too slow, right? I need to merge into traffic, so what I do is I turn on the blinker, and then I disengage the auto steer part by just tugging on the wheel and making the maneuver myself. At that point, and it's not always again, but on a regular basis, the AutoPilot, so it starts moving, and when I've completed the maneuver and I'm in the actual third lane, then AutoPilot starts beeping and warning me that I need to take over immediately because the car is leaving the lane. But the auto steer was disabled. I don't have the lane departure warning on. I did use my blinkers, so I have no idea why it actually makes that call at that point, because I already crossed the line a few seconds before that, and it just starts beeping frantically and it wants me to take over, and I'm like, auto steer is not active anymore, so why should it be beeping at that point? So I disabled it manually. It seems that in the background some system is still active at that point when you disable it by just tugging on the steer and controlling the change yourself. So number 9 and 10 both have to do with the auto zoom function of the navigation. So this, I don't really think this is a bug, but it's more of a feature that I don't like and I would like to see optional. So the first one is that I would like to see more of the surrounding area. So that means something like this, right? Because I do work here, close to that supercharger there, and I have multiple options to get there. So I can drive this route, I can go all the way back there, and then I can go through Antwerp to Brussels. And I want to see the traffic in the morning without having to initiate the navigation each and every time. I just want a quick overview. Where is the heaviest traffic and which route do I take to avoid it? Right now I can set it like this, and as long as I'm driving on local roads, this will be the zoom level that I'm at. As soon as I switch to a regional road or to a highway, then the map automatically starts zooming to a level that is just not useful for me. And I don't know the reason behind that. I can understand that the auto zoom is useful when you actually use the navigation, so the closer you get to your destination, the more zoomed in the car is going to, or the display is going to be, and that's a good thing. But I would like an option to disable the auto zoom when the navigation is not used. That could be a simple toggle box to do that. It doesn't have to be complicated, but when the navigation is not in use, I want to control the zoom level which I want to see on my display here. And the last one also has to do with the auto zoom, is when you do have the navigation enabled, and let's say you want to look at an area to see whether there's more traffic there, or whether you can have some kind of local escape route, I don't know. You can zoom in to a certain part here. So I want to look at this particular part, and then you want to look in the area, for example, which roads can I take as an alternative. But the problem is that if you leave this alone for a few seconds, then it will actually zoom back automatically to the trip level that you had before. There we go. So, and again, I want to have maybe a view for when I arrive at that point. I want to take a different route. I want to have that zoomed in view again. And that's just not working because of the trip level. It will zoom automatically back to the trip level. Again, that was not the case as far as I remember before version 9. Now it is, unfortunately. So again, a toggle box to allow that or disable that would be fine for me. So other people that do like it can use it. But for me, I would like to see that I can use my own zoom levels like it was before. So I want to stay at this level, and when I want to go back to the original one, I just hit the 3 button like it was before, and then you get back to that particular zoom level. So there you have it. Those are the 10 most annoying features for me, or bugs, at the moment. Yours may be different. Maybe some of them are specific to my car. I don't know, like the camera issue, for example. But we'll see about that. I'll do a follow-up video on that one. But yeah, the others I would like to see fixed in the coming update. I'm eagerly anticipating the next one, and hopefully that resolves most of my issues here. As always, if you like my videos, please like them and subscribe to the channel using this little button here, and don't forget to click that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. And for now, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.